We are live.
We're live. A little bit early today.
No, in time.
In time.
Right in time.
On time.
And technology is actually in our favor. It's working.
Yeah. We hear Dave. Hi, Dave.
Hello, who'd have believed it? A watch company delivering on time. We're here on time.
Yeah, that's that.
Working to COSC standards.
Yeah.
That is something very new,
Yeah.
What, starting a live stream on time?
Yeah, delivery on time.
Oh, delivering on time.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, we are trying hard. And it's Thanksgiving.
And it's Thanksgiving. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to our friends across the pond in the USA.
Yeah. And the chef from the Muppet Show is with us.
Yeah.
So,
as always,
the Muppets.
by the way, watch check.
watch check.
What do you wear, Dave?
Dave, well, he's not technically wearing it, but I have my
Aha,
date
laid
in
out
blue.
in front of you.
Beauty.
with fancy blue background to match the dial. But
Look
yeah,
at you,
we have-
color coordinated.
I'm completely. Usually it's Dave's thing to be nerdy, but I'm wearing two watches today.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I got my tried, tested, and true here. Yeah, the
Probably
Tourbillon
the
1.
most comfortable watch on the planet, Lensman 2,
Yeah,
and one of my favorite, Autark White.
yeah.
It's pretty nerdy, yeah.
Pretty nerdy.
You like your Autarks for sure. Even before the new launch, you really like the Autark, don't you, Andy?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
I agree.
And I love this blue dial.
And I bought that
I'm not
watch
used
for
to-
myself because I wanted nobody else to wear that watch. Because usually you get a test watch or something like this,
Yeah.
and you never really have your own watch in it. I didn't really like that, so I needed my own.
You got a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah, so hi to everybody in the comments. Let
Yeah.
us know if everything is sounding good. You see everything. And seeing a few of our forum, our active forum folks here in the chat. Be sure to jump in, ask any questions as we go through. Because today it's about the Autark Tourbillon.
yeah.
Yeah?
It's the culmination of our work.
Yeah, exactly. And what else is it today, David?
I think it's something else today. I think it might be somebody's
Birthday! Happy birthday to you.
you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andy.
Andy.
Happy birthday to you. All right, that's the best we
We
can do
were-
for us.
Yeah.
That's all you
That's all I can.
Definitely no more
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. We were reasoning before. It's close to half a decade.
A decade, yeah.
A decade.
Yes.
That's close. That's a lot of time. And we were reasoning on the parking lot.
No, we're not going to go into that conversation. This is not YouTube friendly.
I
We'll
just,
just-
I know
No.
Jonas' son actually sent me a nice icon,
Yes.
and one of them was a poo icon.
Yeah. The emoji. Yeah.
And we were reasoning how much.
Okay.
During
Andy,
your lifetime.
please stop. Please stop.
Andy, no matter how old you get, you'll always be younger than you.
That's good. I'm very happy about that.
Yes.
It makes me feel
I'm
very
not-
relaxed,
you
to be
are.
honest. And yeah,
We've been
but
told no.
you still have more hair than me, and I wear my cap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all falling. Good.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't stretch the people too much with our BS talk,
Yes.
and get into the topic.
Yes, the topic of the day, the Autark Tourbillon.
Yeah.
So pre-order started this week on Tuesday, and it's been pretty crazy. I think the forum post is the most amount of views, the most amount of comments that we've had. People are really excited about this, from Tourbillon 1 to basically seeing.
I felt already like it feels like we are becoming a blog.
Yeah, it's
Super good activity. I
super
love
good.
it. It's really good to. Michael is also here.
Yeah.
Greets to
Andy.
Thailand.
Happy birthday, Andy.
He's probably in Bangkok. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Let's make the best out of it.
yeah. It's gonna be a big
2 years to go for being complete.
Yeah. So yes, what I was saying is, from the Tourbillon 1 to the K2, people have asked us to merge these two
Yeah.
movements together, and later, probably around summertime, we decided, okay, let's start the conversation going with this and really build an epic journey based around this project. We had the big journey of Tourbillon 1, the big journey of K2, and now we're starting the KTMR. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name behind it? K Tourbillon Micro Rotor.
Yes. Because I was looking at KMRT, it sounded too much like transit system. so we went with the KTMR. Yeah.
K Tube. That would be the London version.
Yeah, this would be the London version. Exactly.
Hopefully it doesn't rattle that much.
No.
Okay, yeah, so shall we jump in? So we're talking about this mission independence. What does that actually mean? And that is an ongoing story because we can pack all of this information into one, live stream. And the whole goal of the whole exercise is not just to make a watch, it's to let people be part of what we are doing. So, and what this have to do with our independence, where we are with the movement itself, the watch itself, and the pre-order status. So we probably jump into
mission independence and let you take the stage and talk about that and what that entails.
That is a movie, no? That's
no,
not,
it's
that's
just a screen grab from there. And
so let's go into the next slide here. The start of the journey. What is mission independence? The projects we are inside of this mission independence is not just this product. Everything we do in the next couple of months and years is tailored towards growing our independence, especially on the manufacturing side. Because at the end of the day, watch brands very often are defined as big marketing machines. But finally, it's a mechanical product, it must be produced, and it should be done in a timely manner. And we recognize that when you grow, at the end of the day, you need to put more resources and more into manufacturing, and that's where the big guys score, and the small ones are lagging back because it's expensive to do that, and we need to raise enough cash and put it back into machinery to be able to ship all that.
Yeah.
And that's what we do, and that's why we have this mission independence as an ongoing slogan. Let's go directly into that. During this journey, there will be, there's a lot of things coming right now, especially after the first 2 days. Can we change this? Can we adapt that? How about the color here? How about the shape there? So we would like to collect all of these questions over the next several weeks, and then jump into them and tell the people effectively what it is, where can we change things, and when is this appropriate, and why we cannot do all these kind of things at the same time.
Most other companies would take probably the Dr. Evil approach.
Yeah.
Which would be,
100%.
I think possibly we have something to show what that is. How about no? But we're actually listening, and there's a lot of requests, and of course we can't meet them all, but we're trying to find a happy middle ground and try to listen and try to integrate everything that we can. We're a smaller company, and every reiteration, whether it's a small change, somebody asks about a hand or a dial or this and that, it seems quite simple on the surface, but there is a lot of things that go into production, into actually making those things happen. So we're doing the best that we can. And
then one of Dave.
I was going to say, I think the other thing as well is, whilst we might have to sometimes say no, we will always try and explain why the answer is no. Some things are not possible, but we will actually tell you why that's not possible. It might be that it just becomes very expensive, or it could be for engineering reasons, but we'll try our best to explain to you why we say no.
And that should be the fun of it. I mean, it's not the fun saying no, but it's interesting to talk about that, because I think for a long time many companies have been too secretive about how they make things. And that's what we want to bring to the limelight, as you say, and let people be part of it, which brings me to the next part of explaining a little bit about our value chain. This is also an ongoing topic which I believe during the next several months we will lay out much more in detail. How do we manufacture? How do we operate? In fact, what are the core things? I have a slide here. I mean, that's one of the slides which I use in my presentations when we talk to other companies about movement making. So in the past 14 years, you can say, we have focused on these things up here. You know, it's mainly soft skills and assembly skills. And only recently we started to move into, which you call, I mean, you know, manufacturing is a very wide definition. Manufacturing is also, of course, assembly and making things, but at the end of the day, when we talk about manufacturing, we talk about abrasive stuff. So machining, yeah, specifically machining. Everybody is super stoked on machining, but in our case, I have to say, the much harder part perhaps is engineering, assembly, and all these kind of things. And that's why in the past 14 years and out of the gate, I said in the beginning, we do not buy machines in the beginning, because that is the number one failure companies make. When they want to make a movement or a complex multi-components part like a movement, then the first thing is they buy a machine. They don't even have a good design, and then the design is not mature, and then you have very expensive machinery in your place, and you start making parts which are not mature on a machine which is 10 times too expensive with no volume, and the result is bankrupt. So I think we can see a lot of examples in this industry where it exactly happened like that. And that was one of the reasons in 2008 when we started out to get into the movement business, said no machines, only if there's no alternative supplier around us. And that's what we did successfully in the past, let's say, 14 years.
Yeah.
And then during COVID and our emerging growth and success, we recognized, okay, now we are getting into the position, first of all, because we know what we do, we know all our processes. It has never been that we just place an order to a supplier and don't know how he's doing that. We work together with the people, and now we are, besides our existing suppliers, starting to ramp up additional manufacturing in order to be safe. It's not about price, it's not about volume, it's about being safe, because people have to understand when you make a movement, just the movement, you know, one movement, 170 parts, we calculated roughly 3,500 process steps, which we need to handle only the supply chain, the quality control, and the assembly steps along that. That does not include the manufacturing itself. So you just add another several hundred steps, and needless to say, that's a lot of stuff. And one step doesn't work, watch doesn't work. So that's why we focus in the beginning of our life cycle on the engineering. The value comes out of the brain of the people. That's the number one point. When I have too much machines, then I cannot pay engineers, so I need to make a trade-off here. And then, because we are in the center of the watch industry, we said, if we select family-owned, group-independent suppliers which are willing to support us, then we need to get pretty good in supplier management. So that was the second step. And because we are a small company, we cannot always rely on what we get. We need to actually control all these parts. Naturally, this means we need to be pretty good in quality control, microscoping technologies, measuring equipment, and all this kind of stuff. So that's what we built up and invested into. And to be honest, I'm a sucker for assembly from my former job. Dave, you know it from bike business. Assembly, like any car company, any multi-components business, you need to finally handle assembly. And assembly is extremely complex. In fact, it is a complex exercise because you're dealing with a lot of uncertainty from supply side, and at the end of the day, it's the only spot where you really can make sure that the product which is leaving your house is good. And so we never even thought about just outsourcing it to someone. Yes, we also ask support for example, T2 meanwhile, because so it means encasing, because we can't do everything at the same time. But basically, the core of the assembly skills in movement business is the T0 assembly, which is the pre-assembly. We build all our tools for that. We learned all that. And I think besides the big guys, namely the Swatch Group and probably Rolex, there's not many who do a complete T0 assembly. All process steps in the core of a movement we do in our place, and we build all the tools for that, and we learned that in the past 15 years.
Yeah.
And that gives us the flexibility to come up with new movements. And then, of course, T1 means putting the sub-assemblies together into a main assembly. That is the thing we then also obviously have to control, because there is where you regulate the watch, the movement first time, so you need to control that. And that was our history. And then in 2022, we started to get into manufacturing, into gear cutting, into milling and finishing and all these kind of things. And yeah, we are continuing to build this out to become fully independent at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's the mission, is to continue
Just
moving forward and onboarding it as much as those processes as possible. Because anytime you're reliant on certain things, especially when it comes to the milling, when it comes to basically bridges, that's where a lot of time can be wasted. For the most part, it's extremely time consuming, and it's one of the last processes in a movement assembly. So it is important, as you're getting closer to the finish line, to have those types of processes under one roof, under your roof. And we're doing it now.
And so that's a different style of looking at it. I show you that slide. I mean, that's at the end of the day, I would say we have a large IP stack. What does that mean? Intellectual property means not just a patent, it's what you really know. At the end of the day, making these watches, making these movements is a knowledge game, knowledge and process game. And along this value chain, coming from the product, conceptualizing, then doing all the heavy engineering lifting, we cut in the beginning this manufacturing side, the really machining side, and we focused on this tooling, T0, quality control, then the T1 and the T2. And luckily, because we managed to build a brand in which people obviously have a certain trust, to go very direct. And this is the only reason why we actually can make these products, I think, because we have customers who trust in what we do. And we want to use this trust and the investment in our products in order to improve our manufacturing capabilities further and stabilize that, so that we can turn out more and more products in a reliable way down the road.
And I think this also very much highlights why the term in-house manufacture can be really confusing. At the end of the day, we do all of the things that are the true things you need to do to be in-house. The engineering, the T0, the physical making of the parts. Actually, very few people do, even the percentage that we are currently doing. Most of them outsource most of it, but they also outsource their engineering. They also outsource their T0. We're doing the hard things in-house and bringing more of the physical manufacture in as it makes sense.
Yeah, and I also say sometimes, when you look at suppliers and other service providers in this game, very often it is about how you do things, but we are focusing on why you have to do it in that way. And that is closely connected to an intrinsic knowledge base you need to build up over many, many years. It sounds so simple, but sometimes there are companies who have a movement, but they cannot design a new one because they never did that. And they bought the design, and they have suppliers who know how to make these parts, but then they are in front of that and say, look, now we need to make a new movement, but we don't know how to engineer that, although they are producing effectively since probably 20, 30 years that movement. And that made me think a lot. It took a while until I really understood the difference between the how and the why. And supplier side is usually the why. And the engineering and the IP side is the how. Why do you do that? And the supplier is the how do you do that? And we of course need to, when you design stuff, you need to understand both of that. Yeah? And that's what we are doing.
Yeah, and we're and with it, we're growing with our product offering, so expanding into new movements and taking all that knowledge and applying it to new things like the KTMR.
Yes.
Yeah?
And we will show during this journey, which will take a couple of months, yeah. We will show in detail how we make certain things. So that's at least what my target is, you know, that we really show how also hidden processes. There's a lot of hidden stuff in movement making where nobody really thought about that is a real issue. You know, like just washing. I mean, just take washing or like a finishing process, a technical finish. Super hard, hidden, nobody sees it really. Everybody says, yeah, it shouldn't be such a big problem to finish a base plate like this and then plate it with gold and nickel. Yes, it is a problem because effectively we are in a place where people are dealing with this since probably 100 years. And when you go outside of this place to the UK or to the US or somewhere else, you just don't find this technique. And there's a reason why some pretty good watches come out of Switzerland, specifically from Biel. And I would also say...
Yeah, and that's...
Yeah, go ahead.
That's an interesting point, Andy. We were speaking, myself and Landon had an event in London a couple of weeks ago, and there was a gentleman there whose business is plating things, and we got into a discussion about that, and he said, I would never want to plate anything for a watch because the tolerances that you're having to deal with. He said, my plating is thicker than the part itself. I can plate anything you want as long as it's not that thin.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. You think you can do plating until you realise the size of the parts and the degree of microns that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
If it's even fractionally out, the part's ruined.
And all that, hopefully, we can show.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, it will be a big content exercise at the end of the day.
It will be. But
Okay.
let's get to the stuff that people want to see. They want to see some movements, some watches, and
we are super independent. You are always reading the comments.
The feed is frozen. It says.
Yeah, the feed
I
is
don't
frozen.
see the feed being frozen right now.
But you see it, yeah?
I see it right now.
Okay.
Possibly, it's on somebody else's side. Let's see if it.
Yeah.
No, it seems to be working on our side. We have another screen here that's showing the live stream. You might just want to refresh on your side there. Yep, there we go. It's not Michael. So, yeah, we'll just keep moving along.
Yeah.
So the Micro Rotor Tourbillon.
That's where we are.
Dave is a little bit quiet. It says we got to bring up Dave a little bit.
Yeah, I can bring you up a little bit here.
Okay. There we go.
Hey.
Not so much.
Dave is rising. Dave is rising.
Good. So.
All right. Thanks everybody in the comments for jumping in there. So the KTMR. Micro Rotor Tourbillon.
It's a blend.
It's a blend. Let's jump to the
like
next
a good
slide.
wine,
Yeah. Let's go to the next slide and watch this thing fly around a little bit, and we can get into sort of the parts details and talk about what this means and what's involved from now on. Currently we have the K2 movement, which has been developed, and obviously the KTOU, the tourbillon movement, bringing those two things together. There's a lot of knowns, but there's still some unknowns when it comes to it. And when we talk about in the video, you'll see that we have this target of 72 hours of power reserve. It's a target because we still need to put these two things together into test in the metal. Jonas is very certain, but just to be transparent and on the safe side, we just want to make sure we do that. There's many that would just come out of the gate and say, yeah, it's going to do that, but we want to make sure that what we're saying is correct.
Yeah, I think that is pretty much the biggest question, how much finally out of this power reserve we can get out. Everybody who knows our tourbillon products know that basically we are building on things which we have been proven already. The tourbillon cage itself is something which we have. That is nothing new to us. Yeah, I can move in back. Yeah. Well, let's say it's
A
here.
little bit forward there. There you go. Keep going forward.
Yeah, here.
There you are.
That thing. I mean, that is something. I have a pile of them here besides me. I can show them later. Already finished assembly. That was the biggest unknown in the first tourbillon project because we didn't know. We had our escapement technology and all this kind of stuff. So we had to make sure that we understand this titanium cage construction, and that was a risk in the first case. But in our case, that's not anymore a risk. So what is the next? Where is a real unknown today? All this stuff inside we know how it works. We know where the challenges are. We have already inventory. The big challenge comes here.
Main barrel.
The main barrel, and not the main barrel as a construction, but how hard does that spring have to be in there? Because what also is known is our winding performance. So we know the winding performance of the K2 micro rotor, which you can see in the Super Seed, proven, assembled a lot, has an extraordinary winding performance, probably one of the best winding performances in the world of micro rotors.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that it is the best winding performance.
And in the forum, jump in our forum, we actually have a couple of people, specifically one based out of Spain there, who's actively tested the K2 micro rotor against some of his other watches, and he's been extremely surprised. It's really great to see the community come out and actually test these things and share their data, because it's different than if I were to say it. I can say all day long, yes, the most efficient micro rotor in the world, but it's different when people take it in their own hands and try it out, and I'd rather that happen than us to preach what it is.
Yeah, and that's only possible because of that thing here, you know. So even if we have our movement, or even if we have a new mainspring which we need to match to actually the cage itself, but the performance of the winding efficiency comes from the escapement. That is something which Florian recently made a very nice speech also in the Swiss watch industry publicly, and also on an event which we had with some media people, and we will probably also do that once as a live to explain to the people what is why is this so different than anything else. So that is also not an unknown, that's a known for us. But how much this cage is consuming energy from the mainspring, that is something we need to finally find out. And so what we do for that, we will actually with the supplier, we will do several spring studies during the next several weeks and months, and figure out the optimum hardness and length of that spring which fits into that main barrel, because the rest is known to us. So I would say that is perhaps, it's not a risk, you know.
Yeah.
It's just something we do not know exactly right now. How much, if it's 72, if it's 70, it's 68 or 74, you know, nobody knows.
And once we have the hard data, then we'll know. And we have a comment, somebody's asking for a skeleton KTMR. It's nice, but we have to prove with what we have here first, because as soon as you start cutting away material, all that material is there for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not there just to be bulky or to be in the way. And by the way, it's a 3.6 millimeter movement. It's extremely thin. And so you need to have that material because it affects a lot of the way the componentry works together. And so once we have that done, then you can look at doing more sort of decorative things like we had done with Tourbillon 1. But there are many more moving parts to this than we had, actually nearly double the amount that we had in Tourbillon 1.
Yeah, and when you look at, I mean, we need to keep in mind the Tourbillon 1 was a bigger diameter movement, thicker, and we are actually packing all that into a K2 size which is smaller in diameter and thinner. And this also means that someone texting me, that sounds like
Andy,
no,
we're
not
live
now,
stream
not
right
now.
Put the phone away.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes it could be that
I
it's the
think-
boss, and then this means that she said you are not. I don't hear you or something
Yeah,
like this.
okay.
You never know.
I think on that question of skeletonizing, the key thing with engineering is the stability of the movement, and the more material you remove, you intrinsically lose stability.
Yeah.
So the first thing we have to do is have a core stable platform. Then maybe we can experiment with a little bit of
Cutting off
playing
stuff.
around,
Mhm.
removing materials.
Yeah.
But the more you cut off, the less stable it becomes. The less stable it becomes, the less accurate it will generally be, and the less reliable it will be. And I think the core thing, most people I would hope would agree, is accuracy and reliability are the two core components that everyone should look for before we start playing around with making it look ultra
Yeah.
pretty.
And you also have to
No, it
imagine,
is
that
pretty.
there are three big holes in there,
Mhm.
which do not exist in a manually wound tourbillon, because we have this main
Yeah.
barrier, we have the hole for the tourbillon, and we have a big hole which needs to carry a lot of load from a very heavy unit, which is the rotor.
Yeah.
So we need to play it safe. I
Yeah.
would say the only really new thing which we need to try to figure out is what is effectively the final real power reserve and the real strength of the spring. Because if it's too weak, it's not good. If it's too strong, it's called the escapement. I don't know, called prellen. I don't know what the English word for that is.
Yeah, reverberation.
Yeah, it hits the. It can be damaged if the spring is too hard.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's keep
that's-
moving along, guys. We're
Yeah.
already at halfway into the.
But it's a
into the
good
show.
one, I mean, it's a good show right now.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
good.
talking about that stuff.
Yeah, we're talking about a lot of stuff. So if it's, we have some other questions that I'll get to in a little bit because we're going to talk about.
And sure, we
moving
need a
colours
T-shirt
and,
for that.
and this type of thing.
I want to
Yeah.
have an exploded view T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let us know if you want to have some Orage T-shirts in the in the
like
chat.
that.
Yeah,
I would
like that.
it like this.
Yeah.
Similar like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. You know what's really cool is because we can do it. And it's our
Yeah.
movement. Yeah. And others have to take somebody else's movement and do it.
Okay, so next, we have been there already. I
We
mean,
talked
we talked
about the
about
weight of
that. I think we can
Yeah.
repeat. Should I show you that this is not just a digital thing? We have stuff real here.
Yeah, show some real.
And hopefully I don't drop it to the ground.
Yeah,
and
don't do that,
Leland
Andy.
is killing me
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Because
Andy
I
is
borrow.
touching, very precise
they
things
are.
over
Wait
here.
a second.
Just
Wayland's carefully procured stock control is about to go out the window.
yeah, other camera there.
yeah.
Ooh, look at all those tourbillon cages.
There
Look
we
at those
go.
beauties, ready to go.
So it's not just a show,
Yeah.
It's real stuff. All nicely assembled, 50 pieces already, continuous production already going on. So we are trying to be as fast as possible
Yeah.
out of the gate. The last things which will be finished are always the plates. Because that's the last thing which is finished.
I'll change the camera there.
That's the first thing which you need for assembly. I need a different camera now. Wait,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm a little bit confused here.
Yeah. Somebody's asking Dave why no enamel dials. I remember you guys mentioned it was thicker, but why not have that
Yeah.
in the original design? I feel as if the watch themselves could use a spectacular dial. Well, the dials are pretty spectacular, as they are.
They're coming
they
there.
are.
Yeah.
They are indeed. And the issue with
Shall
a
we
Grand
jump in
Four and an
there?
enamel dial
Mhm.
is they are very thick, and that would probably add a significant amount of thickness. In fact, not probably, it would add a significant amount. We're aiming for sub 9mm in this watch. It would definitely be much more in a line with a 10mm, maybe just over a 10mm watch if we were to do it in enamel. That's not to say, in the future, who knows, but certainly for this Autark Tourbillon, we're going for titanium, lightweight, and a slender case, which unfortunately doesn't go hand in hand with a Grand Four dial.
Yeah. Yeah. One other question here. Do you have any idea about the minimum power reserve? Absolute minimum would be around 65.
Yeah. That is the worst.
That is the worst case
that's all.
scenario. But the target is 72. We're pretty confident we'll get in there. Similarly to what we have with the K2 micro rotor. But again, there's things that just need to be tested, and we're just being transparent and making sure that everybody understands what we're up against.
Yeah, moving a little bit more needs a little bit more energy. That's pretty much. That's why we also still, first tourbillon. Usually that was you remember it was Le Juperet some time ago, and we never wanted to make that in 2019 when we started to get into that project, and then and most of the tourbillons are steel tourbillon cages. They're not titanium, and so what happens with a steel case, you can make it more easily and it's probably more cheap, but the problem is it's heavy, and a tourbillon is accelerated back and forth a little bit each time it beats,
And it's turning 360
and
degrees.
it's turning 360 degrees, but with every step you're doing so a little bit, and the more heavy that is, the more energy you consume. It's like everybody who's doing gardening, when you have how do you call that, flower water?
The water can.
Water can. And so you move an empty water can back and forth, and then you do it with 10 liters of water in there. And you do the same thing, and then it will swing somewhere. That's the same thing with a heavy tourbillon cage. If you want to have a high performing tourbillon, you need to have a very lightweight cage, because you need to accelerate it 25,200 times per hour. And that's why, that also brings me right away to this discussion of triaxial whatever, or triaxial thing. Technically, or probably for someone who is nerdy a little bit, that might sound cool, but technically that's for sure not producing a more exact, precise watch. For sure not.
Visually it's
cool, but from we are a performance watchmaking company, so we need to also see our limits and see where is a limit. So we shouldn't do just stuff for the sake of doing it.
So let's get into the movements. The watches.
To the watches,
The watches.
So we have been dabbling into this dials already. Watch.
Yes.
So here. That's how it looks like.
I think that's a video there.
That's a video.
And this is the video. If you haven't watched it already on YouTube, if you're on YouTube, you've probably seen it already.
Look at it again.
We'll chat about it. But as we're talking about it, we'll answer some of the questions here. Somebody's asking, expected annual production. Is it a non-limited edition? Just so everybody knows, we keep the pre-order open right now this time, so that anybody who wants to purchase a watch can have access to it and purchase it. Unlike some other companies, we don't. We try not to. We've done it in the past, where we say this is limited to 100 pieces or that. But for the most part, in our tourbillon range, we're somewhere around the 200 to 300 seems to be the amount of production that we do get with our watches. We're very we always at the end of an order we tell people exactly how many pieces have been done. If you want to find those details out, they'll be listed in our forum. But that's sort of the goal for this, and in saying that, all of our watches are extremely limited when you look at the amount of production we do compared to other brands in the industry. So they're all a very, very special timepiece, and and every order that we do get helps us, on our mission independence to reinvest into purchasing machining and making the next great movement project come to life.
There's a question.
Absolutely, and on that front as well, Landon, there are 9 variations of the Autark Tourbillon at the moment, depending on how you combine the dial and the colour of the movement. And as we know, some of them are more popular and some are less popular. So therefore, there's going to be very, very small numbers of certain colour combinations.
We have a sound here.
Oh, we have sound. I think we just
no, we don't have
Dave
sound
off.
anymore.
Sorry
you
about
can
that,
continue to say something, Dave. No, now the sound is off.
There we go. Yeah, just reiterating there that depending on what color combination you choose, some are more popular, some are definitely less popular. So depending on what you choose, you might find that you have one of a very small number of those color combinations out there. In fact, at the moment, there are 2 colorways that have very low numbers so far, and others that have much more significant numbers. I'm not going to reveal what they are at this point in time, but I'm sure as things go along, we can maybe let you know to that. So I think, like the Super Seed, there were certain color combinations where there were probably less than 20 in total that went out like that. So quite rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But someone is asking on if the first link is dropping right from the first style muff.
Sorry? If what?
PRX integrated is too big for my 15.2 centimeter wrist. Overhangs integrated often bad for this.
Will integrated bracelet be able to drop straight down from first link?
Why do we not have that? I need to get out of that slide.
So
to
answer that to a certain extent,
we have the Autark there. We could actually show that with an existing Autark model.
I'm lost in my screen sharing. So no, we're back.
Okay. Okay.
I think to answer that, compared to the model that you suggested, it's a much flatter watch. This does have quite a significant dropped lug, as you can see from this side profile image, where the lug is actually got quite a steep drop away from the end of the watch itself. You are fully articulated as well, where that first link joins. So it can effectively more or less drop straight down, not maybe exactly flat, but pretty much to that angle. And at 39.5, it is also a little bit smaller than the watch you mentioned. I agree. I have tried the watch you mentioned on, and it does wear relatively big for its size. But I know from trying on the Autark that Andi has, it is a relatively true to size and pretty short lug to lug.
So let's see if we can show that
on camera.
No, yeah, but
you go back over there. There's Andi with the finger cam.
The finger cam.
Let's see if the little camera can show.
Yeah.
So
you can see at the end there, it comes straight down from the lug.
Yeah.
Still, everything is mirror here.
Yeah. You have to hit that other side of the lug there.
Yeah.
There you go, Andi. Good. Now go the opposite way.
Yeah.
There you are.
So that goes down.
Yeah.
Pretty compact. Yeah. So it's straight down from the end of the lug. And you can see there as well, the drop off on it is, greater than 45 degrees as well. So it really does curl around the wrist nicely.
It is a different watch, but
it
is the first Autark and it's not too far away, I would say. Yeah. We are trying. I mean, what we try to do with this project is not just make a tourbillon. We're trying to actually take this, one of the best-selling models we ever had, to the next level.
Yeah.
And needless to say, there will be a lot of challenges. But as I said, movement-wise, I think we are very much on the safe side. Case-wise, there will be some challenges which we need to solve, also dial side and things like this. But everything, as far as people know us from the past, I think we are relatively good in solving challenges, and we have no problem to explain why we do certain things in the way we do them.
So is this showing right now? Can you show that?
No,
slide,
I need
Andi?
to shift here into a different.
So we're gonna get to the movement color stuff. I see Thicolo has asked about that. We'll get to that shortly, and then we're gonna look at the gradient gray. Somebody's asking obviously this one has a power reserve indicator, and the other two colors don't have the power reserve indicator. And this came up because there was images of this watch sort of leaked through the media earlier on, and it created a little bit of a buzz, and people started talking about it, and we had a lot of requests for something without a power reserve. And so we went ahead and kept this color with the power reserve indicator, and decided to go with 2 additional colors at this time without.
Yeah.
And I always think it's interesting, whilst there was lots of commenting about the power reserve, the proof is always in the eating, as they say. And when the orders open, we will always see. And I think, to be straight, we have looked at the numbers so far. We're only a couple of days in, and it's very much a 50-50 run in terms of people who want Power Reserve and people who do not. So around half the sales are the grey dial with the Power Reserve, and around half the sales are either the black or the blue dial without the Power Reserve. So I think it goes to show that, we have to try and accommodate the likes and needs of as many customers as possible. And whilst there I'm sure are some people who would love the grey dial without Power Reserve, we have to try and offer both options without having too many uncontrollable dial colours, or else I think the boss might get a little upset.
Boss and supplier.
Boss and supplier, yeah.
Yes.
And it's a very nice supplier, and he's already sweating on these dials.
Okay.
Because the simple, the easy looking things in the beginning are the hard ones. It's very easy to make things complicated, but it's not easy to make it very clean and straightforward. And this is going to look very, very nice, I'm 100% sure. And let's look at the other ones.
So then we have the Sunray Blue. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. I was going to say, on the grey dial, a few folk have also commented about they think it looks a little flat. I think one thing that these renders don't show so much is there is definitely a significant texture to this dial as well. So there's a kind of almost like a shot peened type finish to this dial, which I think when we begin to get better photographs of the sample dials and the real life dials, we will really begin to see that effect come through, which I think will really bring it alive.
Yeah, it takes a certain amount of courage to start from a CGI. But I 100% trust in our boss.
Yeah, but the thing is that the CGI
he has done 25 years of dials.
And our experience with CGI is that it looks great, but the product in the end even looks better. Yeah. That's the other
and maybe
thing.
that close up, that close up CGI. Yeah, the close-up CGI showing the Power Reserve there, you can just maybe see a little bit of the idea of the texture in that image, more so than you can on the big one. But I think this dial is going to look fabulous, to be honest.
Yeah, and we already have somebody in the comments saying they want the Power Reserve. And as you said, it's about 50-50 right now for Power Reserve. So, the keyboard warriors that were harping on us about, the Power Reserve is not their cup of tea. Well,
I'm a big fan of freedom of choice, but we need to also limit the amount of choices we can handle, because otherwise nobody has anything from us going bust.
Yeah,
having too many SKUs, and I have seen a ton of companies going down the drain because of that. Because nobody said, no, we need to control the amount of SKUs we are having, because that is a cost issue. And if we want to stick in a certain price bracket, we need to have control of this.
So let's look at the colors there. Dave, you can chat about this one here, and we got the black one after that.
So this one obviously is the blue, which has that kind of sunray effect. Compared to, say, this blue, this is a brighter blue, so this is going to be a darker blue, similar to a blue that we have used in some watches before, but it will have this kind of sunray effect on it, similar to this, albeit in this darker, I guess altogether slightly classier blue colorway on it. Then with the kind of rhodium style appliques and hands on there rather than the gold, I think this is going to be a really kind of timeless colorway as far as watches go. This is one that you'll be able to wear to the office as a smart wear or as a kind of sporty weekend watch as well. I think possibly this is, I'm vying on this being my first place color personally, but yeah, I think this one's super nice. And then we move on to the third colorway.
Which is the black.
Perfectly positioned, by the way.
And and it's
just recognize that.
I did okay.
Okay.
For my morning.
You can
morning PowerPoint
you can stay.
PowerPoint workout.
But the difficult thing with these animations is to really get that sunray effect. You see it really well with the watch that Dave showed. And it just brings that dial to light. So when you have individuals saying, that something that needs to be a little bit more sporty, you see that it's amazing how it plays in the light, and that will be the effect that will come through on both the black and on the blue dial.
Yeah. And this black one as well, the blue one is very much the blue is the whole story, but on this black one you have that little kind of red, maybe with a touch of a kind of lighter terracotta colour in there, in the highlights pips on that dial as well, which just lifts the black a little bit on there.
Yeah. Okay. So those are the dial colors, and we're going to move ahead to the movement colors right now.
Movement colors.
And we're going to have a little discussion about this because somebody's asked a couple of times now. Where are the questions here? How is the movement on the back color? Is it PVD, anodized, or another process? And we do have some samples here to show.
Today, Sylvan was, I think, at the supplier.
Yeah.
Which is called Positive Coating in the Euro up there. Family-owned company, I think. Now the kids are running it, as far as I know, and they are the ones, the go-to place for coloring plates, and we have some here. Just got color samples to select. Moving things in here. I cannot tell you exactly.
We're going to move that away from that light there a little bit, that red down. There we go. So we have a few different finishes going on.
Shall we put something else
there?
there?
Get an idea of what we have for movements, because we do have different finishing on the back. We have polished, we have brush surfaces, and this gives an idea of how the color will change. So it goes from a deeper sort of red into almost like a little bit of an orange, so like a terracotta, with the red, and then we have the blue. You can see many different finishes, or the three different finishes there, and showing how it will come into effect. So it becomes quite vibrant, and it just takes on a life of its own.
There's a glass there, so it doesn't really show how.
David, anything you want to add there?
Yeah, obviously this shows that even with a different finish style on it, how it can really affect the same colour at the end of the day. All these plates have different finishes but using the same colour, and I think it's fair to say that when you go from the kind of brushed or satin finishes into the polished finish, it really does make a material difference to the look of the colour. And obviously with the blending of different finishes on that plate, it will allow the colour to play with the light really nicely.
Yeah. And can you speak to the coating process itself? Andi, you've been out there, yeah?
No, I have not been there. That
Okay.
is one of the few places I have not been.
Sylvan
yet.
is the
I'm not allowed to go out there.
You're not allowed. Okay.
They don't want to have me there. So,
Yeah.
but this is something.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to imagine that this red and blue and the anthracite, you call it?
anthracite.
Is then coming into this kind of shape. So, you need to imagine that now.
And all those different finishes.
Yeah, and these matte finishes and the brushes and the polished edges, which we do with the diamond cutter on the corners. You can see it a little bit here.
Yeah, somebody's saying under glass it will look somewhat different in the end, right? Well, the glass is clear, completely clear, and it's not really affected too much by light color, but it depends on the type of light that you're in.
Yeah.
And then you'll see things differently.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very, very good.
Yeah, I think the red's going to be a really punchy colour.
Yeah. So Dave,
and the nice thing as well is you'll only
and it
really
very much
see
will
it to its
depend on
true.
how much the brush is. That will make a very, very big difference. The depth of the brush, because you see we are usually making a much deeper brush. I don't know what the grain size is of the paper now, but much deeper than what you see here. So you will have a much darker, very likely a much darker look because of the shadows of the brushes. Yeah.
Yeah. Dave, I just had my second computer here go down on me. If you don't mind. Actually, I got with my phone here. I'll get comments from here.
Okay.
Just for comments.
Yeah, and just in case I'm missing anybody here.
I can also do that here.
Oh, we can bring it up there. Sorry about that. You know, knew there would be some technical difficulties here at some point, but I see that. So we got so cool. Colors look great. So glad you like those colors. So we have the anthracite, we have the blue, and we have the red.
One
and,
problem out of the way already.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I don't want to hear that. Another life.
Another life, yeah.
Wait a second, I'm just bringing up those questions here.
I'm just getting it here as well.
Yeah,
Stop that.
Yeah, go home.
Channel.
There we
There you are.
go.
Sorry, we're gonna get the other
Yeah, we
screen
just
going
need
here.
to check
You
the.
can go click in here, Andy.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I've got them here.
Yeah,
We're all good.
We're good now.
We're good.
Good. All right, we're back there. Thanks, Andy.
Good, stop. Okay.
All right. Okay.
So we see stuff.
Okay. So movements.
Back to
Any
slide,
questions on the movement side? Feel free to jump in. I mean, there's a little bit of a delay from when we're talking to when we're going to see that question come up, but for the most part, yeah, some really exciting colors
and finishes. Like we have Geneva stripes,
Mhm.
we have anglage,
Mhm.
angled edges, beveled edges. You call that.
Yeah.
We have straight brush. We have matte finish, deep down. So pretty
And
much
the
everything.
question is, what parts of that are hand finished? A lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, this Geneva stripes, you have a machine, huh? It's over there
Yeah.
in the rear, and we can do just one live showing how we do that.
Mhm.
And then the cutouts, obviously, they are done by
Machine.
a machine.
CT.
Let's
Yeah.
go back here into the details.
And because if you want to have an accurate movement that
Yeah.
runs within COSC, you need to use
So-
machines.
So that's
Yeah.
pretty much how it looks after the first run, I would say. So then we need to go do some technical finishes, stuff like this, and then we need to go back to that machine and cut an angle there
Mhm.
with a diamond cutter. Then we take it off again, and we do a straight brush by hand
Mhm.
on a plate over there.
So the brushing you see there is
Yeah.
all done by hand. Also on the gears, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
This is all done by hand as
Circular
well.
brush
Circular brush,
is done with a specific little machine which we have built by ourselves. Personally, I would like to see more laser finish, because for example, why do we make the beveled edge with a diamond cutter on the machine? First of all, I'm pretty sure that a lot of companies doing that and they're just not honest about it.
Mhm.
To take it very direct. Second of all, when you do not have a roundish kind of design and you need to make a very straight, flat section with a chamfer, honestly speaking, you can't do that by hand. We tried it. We had the best finishing guys. Making something extremely straight, freehand, is just not possible. And then it looks like shit, to be honest.
Mhm.
Like
Looks like
fingernail
Arts and
clipper,
craft.
fingernail file thing, it's not clean, and we have a clean design here, and we need to have very straight edges, otherwise it doesn't shine correctly, and that's why we went in this direction.
Mhm.
We are talking now a future project, like a way to steal and warriors in area too. Okay. We need to, just reading the comments.
Just reading the comments over there.
Yeah, another question that's come up is about the visibility of the hands. I think actually, Landon, you've got an image of the watch when it's under illumination somewhere in the presentation, don't you?
Yeah, if we can just go to one of the blue ones there. Yeah, that one right there, Andy. Yeah, and bring it up on the screen.
I think the contrast
it's
should
right
be
there, yeah.
very, very good.
Very good.
Yeah, because you've obviously got the loom in the hand there as well, both the hands, and I think it's very well loomed. Someone was asking specifically, do you think that the gold or the rhodium plated hands will look more visible against the tourbillon cage? I think, to be honest, both will be pretty equitous. I would be my suggestion against the tourbillon cage.
Good.
Yeah.
So
let's hop into this slide, because somebody was saying, you know, they are feeling
titanium
that
steel question.
titanium is too light. Well, this is a lightweight sporty watch. I mean, typically when people think about sports watch, they think these big, thick behemoths.
I mean, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, a sports person, you know, an athlete, wants to have the thinnest, lightest material. You know, when it comes to a bicycle or when it comes to, let's say,
I mean, you know,
yeah?
Dave, you and me, we are bike guys. You know, what brings in margin is less weight.
Yeah, I think it's the cost increases as the weight decreases. As the general
grams
rule.
gets you $100 more.
Yeah.
100 grams less. So,
and then once you go above the spike in the graph, it gets much more expensive.
And some people probably don't know that, or some of them have recognized that we have pushed the Tourbillon 1 through 2 triathlons.
Yes.
In Taiwan.
Yep.
Lensman went into a triathlon, and Tourbillon 1 went into a triathlon.
Yeah.
And so, it's I understand that there's certain, you know, a watch is also about the feel on the wrist, comfort wearing, and sometimes you want to have, you know, the feel of steel and have a little bit more weight. This is meant to show our expertise in engineering and in watch development to make a very sporty, thin watch that's extremely comfortable, and it's sort of at the limits of what, you know, independents are capable of doing right now. Yeah, so that's the reason to go ahead and there's grade 2 and there's grade 5 titanium. Dave, you're the titanium master, so I'll let you explain sort of the differences between those metals, because most people don't know the difference between those.
Which has also something to do with the question that the shine, you know. We have matting in this product, but grade 5 titanium you can polish to a shine which looks like stainless steel.
Yeah.
That's a big difference, huh?
Yeah, effectively they're two different grades. In the watch industry, they like to call them grade 2 and grade 5. They are commonly used in other industries. Actually, cycling, they're used quite a lot, especially grade 5, which is 6Al4V, which is basically its composition, which means that it has 6% aluminium, 4% vanadium. Grade 5 is a harder titanium than grade 2, which both are advantageous. Sometimes people quote that one is infinitely better than the other. Grade 5 is certainly harder to work because it's a harder material.
Cannot forge it.
But it's more prone, it's less prone, should I say, to scratches and little surface marks, but it can still be marked. But grade 2 is softer. It's harder to polish grade 5, but when you do polish it, you end up with a much more vibrant shine to it as well. So, you know, using grade 5 in watches is less common because it's harder to work and you need more expensive tooling, and it's just generally more difficult to work.
And what you don't need, you also don't need fingerprint protection coating on grade 5, which you need on grade 2. Otherwise you have, after the first touching of that thing, you will have actually fingerprints on it and they stick.
Yep, absolutely. So you get this acid etching on grade 2, which is common in the aircraft industry, where they have to wear gloves and special materials. Even they have to use vanadium-free tools when you touch grade 2, because it is a little susceptible to the oils in your hands. Likewise, though, it also grade 2 over time, especially on bracelets and clasps, is prone to wearing, whereas grade 5 definitely wears more hard and it wears longer for closing the bracelet and the flexibility on bracelets. So where possible, grade 5 is preferential for use in watches, but some people don't use it for cost reasons and or difficulty of manufacturing.
I think that's also an evolution, you know, in the first Autark was a grade 2. And then, because we also moved into this hardening thing and you can't actually harden grade 2. You need grade 5 to do that. And we experienced this fingerprint issues and had this coating on top. And I'm generally not a big fan of coatings, I'm not a big fan of plastic, and I'm not a big fan of coating. So that's why you won't see a black PVD case in our company.
And also with the, I think some people have asked in the comments and on some of the forums about why we're using a push pin construction on the bracelet. And, whilst screws can certainly look very tidy and neat sometimes, it is a real challenge to do this in titanium for a few reasons. One of the main ones being the hardening process can be really difficult with screws, and also titanium on titanium, especially when there's threads involved, can get really tricky, and you can sometimes have heat welding when you're a little bit careless with it. So if you don't use the proper Loctites or fluids when you're putting it back together, suddenly you're never going to get that screw out again, and that's a real problem if you want to shorten your bracelet in the future.
I have the feeling we will have a lot of good lives because we are running heavily over time here.
Yeah, we're really over time today. But
my birthday dinner is waiting.
Yeah. I hope everybody's enjoying it.
But one more thing, the COSC thing.
COSC.
Why we do not COSC this time. First, just to say it very simple, we will test our watches the same like before, no matter if it goes to COSC or not. Everybody will get the chance to read this data. We don't do that because the biggest challenge in COSC is the position error. But the tourbillon doesn't have that because it's turning around one time. And because we think we want to be a little bit earlier and more easy in delivery, faster, COSC takes out another 45 days from our manufacturing process.
Yeah, there's a preparation before, then there's sending it out, which is a
that was what we experienced with
workday
Superseed. So
process,
it's effectively we need to add an additional 45 days at least to do that, and we need to do it with a manual read because you can't actually do this with a machine read style of COSC. So we decided that I think no watch will go out which is not performing well, and we don't need this in this time. It's it would have been a little bit of an overkill.
Our movements are performing very, very well. Customers who received like their Tourbillon 1, for example, they're saying it's running within 0 to 1 second a day, some of them. So it just really depends.
I understand that because Marv says that COSC people probably, it is at a given time within a 15 days period, the watch says it runs in this precision window. That is, after that, nobody knows if it's still as precise as that. You ship it around the world and nobody knows anymore. But for us, the first Superseed COSC exercise was also to prove that we can do that in a volume production situation, and also no 45 days we need, because before the 15 days of testing we need to actually do it by ourselves in order to pass with a regular K2 watch. So we have measured the average time we needed for each batch of bringing to COSC, and effectively it took us 45 days. Because afterwards we get it back, it's not completely finished, we need to assemble it, we need to test it again. And that's what people don't know, that there's an additionally heavy, actually, maybe Orange can have their own certificate. We will have the reading data anyhow, and that's what we probably put in our own certificate or something like this. But I think basically, today we had it before with some who said it. Today the people have smartphones, they have timing measurement devices at home. We are confronted with all of this every day, and we do not worry about our reliability on shipping an accurate watch. And if there's an issue, we anyhow bring it back. But we had watches coming back which have been in COSC where everybody said, everything is good.
You meant
Don't do
it.
it if it takes too long. Yeah, it takes definitely
It takes a long time,
45 days.
and we already have a very long development journey
Yeah.
here, and from previous experiences that the COSC ones got held up because there's just more process involved in it. Yeah, it stays at COSC for 15 days, but the time before, the time after, it's a lot. It adds up, and we want
for example, by the way, when you regulate for COSC, that doesn't mean that it's regulated for your wear.
Yeah.
The problem is that, for example, we did COSC with a manual wound caliber which has 120 hours power reserve. Effectively, from a user standpoint of view, that doesn't make any sense. We just did it in order to show we are reliable. But from a user point of view, since COSC is testing every day in the first 24 hours on a manually wound movement where people do not wind every day, they probably wind in the middle, then actually the testing should be done after 2.5 days. But we cannot call the COSC guys and say, can you change your process? No, of course not. So what we actually had to do is we had to regulate for the first 24 hours. And then the reality is that people recognize that the watch, when they don't wind it every day, will run a little bit faster in their preferred wearing mode. So that, official certification is nice, but sometimes it doesn't really give us an advantage, and we should be careful really when we do that, how we do that, and if it makes sense. Generally, I think it's good to do for companies that they're able to be COSC compliant, because it's good for the company, it's good for the internal processes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always say COSC testing is a little like the official fuel consumption figures for cars. You can test it under ideal conditions, but good luck sometimes actually getting the car to replicate those exact numbers. We know with our testing and our in-house procedures that we make sure they are every bit as accurate as a COSC watch. And in the case of the Tourbillons, so many people have reported they are infinitely more accurate than you would expect from COSC as well. So I think with Tourbillons, we're pretty confident.
So we'll move to the next.
We'll move along because we got to get to your birthday dinner here.
Okay.
So we already talked about how thin the watch is. So the target is sub 9 millimeters, and of course there's some tolerances either side, and we just want to make sure that we're
somewhere around 9.
Somewhere around 9, which is a very nice
Damn
watch.
thin.
Yeah, super nice. So we've got the thinness there. And of course, micro adjustment buckle.
But not too thin so that we don't run into trouble.
Yeah.
Most important thing.
Yeah, the thing needs to be working.
Yeah. But we will have a lot of lives on that, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and then we have our
micro adjustment clasp in the watch is going from 22 to 16 millimeters, so it's got a really nice taper.
Yeah.
And that micro adjustment clasp is 10 millimeters of adjustment. So 1 centimeter and 1 millimeter increments. And it's super easy and fluid, and it works really well. We've talked a lot about it with Superseed. It's our own proprietary clasp that we developed here at Orage, and it's going to be utilized here with the Autark Tourbillon. And then the last slide here, Andy.
Yeah, I'm just typing.
Or one of the last ones. We'll be talking about some of your comments here too, just before we go. Dave, I'll let you take the pre-order details away.
Okay, so in terms of the pre-order, we are now live. We went live this Tuesday, and we are having a final retail price of this watch will be 14,990 Swiss francs, but the initial pre-order price is 9,990. That will be valid for a period of 1 week, so up until 2 p.m. Swiss time next Tuesday. Every week after that, it goes up in price by 100 Swiss francs every week until we reach 14,990. A few different payment options are available. Either you can pay in full when you order, or you can elect our new tri-pay model. Initially, for this week, any orders, you will pay an initial payment of 2,990, followed by a second payment after 60 days of 3,500, followed by the final 3,500 30 days before the watch is due to ship to you. Now, each week, as it goes up 100, that will be added to the initial payment. So your second and third payment will always remain at 3,500. Advantages for paying in full: you will be prioritised in terms of deliveries, so all full payment customers will receive their watches first. And additionally, for paying in full up front, you will receive the first service that's due on the watch free of charge, which is a value of around 600 Swiss francs. And with our policy, as you pay for that first service, or in the case of full payment customers, you get that first service free, we give you an additional 2 years warranty with that as well. So lots of payment options to suit many needs, whether you need to budget or whether you're happy to pay up front. And the earlier you pay, the earlier you place your order, the better the price you get. But it will stay open right the way through until just before we start to deliver the watches, so you're able to join in at any point along the journey that you wish.
Yeah, and one other item there on the full payment is we are talking about a strap development as well. That's going to be coming later on. So with this, Chris here was asking, do we have a physical prototype right now? As this continues, we're going to get in the forum. We're going to ask you questions and involve you in some of the developments, like the strap, that are taking place. So this is just sort of the base point from where we're starting. Much like we had with Super Seed, we involved people, and along the way we had some surprises, like the micro adjustment clasp was sort of we hope we can get there, but we actually did do it within that timeline. And the strap option will be one of those, and customers will be able to, who do the full payment, will get that included with the watch, and then it'll be available for sale later on for anybody else. And yeah, the timeline is Q1, Q2 of 2025, but if we can, we're going to try to expedite that timeline.
I strongly hope.
We strongly hope.
We will put all the resources we have into making that thing fast, because I also want to have it. I didn't get a tourbillon last time. I didn't get a tourbillon last time.
Yeah.
Dave, you also don't have one.
No.
Yeah. We are the left out.
Club.
What happens in that company?
Dave joining the Tourbillon Club.
Yeah. It's outrageous, I know, but yeah, Dave feels this might be the entry to the Tourbillon Club. Yeah.
Tourbillon Micro-Order, I mean, there are so few brands doing it. When we were doing research on this, the available options in the market, first of all, the prices are staggering.
Yeah.
Eye-watering. And they're just sort of like a unicorn. They're just not very many of them around. And so this is a pretty exciting project, and to be able to bring something so rare at such a price.
May I make a bet, by the way, because someone is asking when the delivery time is full payment orders be. I think we should open the books.
This is high risk.
We should open the books for that. The making bets.
Yeah, I mean,
I predict now. Something.
You predict
The first one.
You need a crystal ball here.
Let's look in that crystal ball, and I say August.
Ooh.
August 20.
Andy, we'll need to get the whip out and start whipping all of the staff to make them work faster.
Oh, man. Christmas gift on 2024.
Maybe.
I have much more trust in all of us than anybody. I trust in our team and our stuff, that we do stuff faster, especially now. Some years ago, and also the Super Seed exercise, we had obstacles in a way which we probably don't have this time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm just a little bit more ambitious. I remember this.
Exactly. This is living on the internet.
It's a bet,
Andy, I'll remember this as well because my birthday's in August.
Yeah.
So happy birthday, David! If you deliver that first tourbillon.
Yeah, they will be just.
But you won't be the first one who gets it.
Yeah.
No, David will definitely not be the first. But I would say, I think if we aim to deliver in the back end of 2024,
Christmas holidays just got cancelled at Autark.
They've been cancelled every year since we do these projects.
Yeah, this Christmas and next Christmas have both been cancelled, including New Year and all birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we want as? I think we are coming to an end here.
Yeah, and just before we leave, we have some sharks with laser beams. I guess the most fitting
sharks
thing.
with laser beams.
But
That's what happens to the staff if we don't deliver in August.
Exactly, that's what happens.
I would like to see a watch company use sharks with laser beams for doing the main plates.
Yeah,
You know?
we need a shark, stick it in a 5-axis machine, and then laser these things out there. And in between that, Dave will come over.
Yeah, he'll pull Ricky down from Scotland to come and see us here in Beale.
That's my winter training regime there.
Yeah, okay. We have more of that stuff, yeah.
We got enough of gifts.
I think we are coming to an end now because we are getting too much into the... I mean, it's fun, you know?
And before we leave,
Watches are fun.
I just want to say, if you haven't watched already, check out Chasing Microns, our documentary film. Been talking today with the director, Patrick, and it looks like we're going to be entered in a few film festivals here coming up. So that will be pretty exciting to see. And of course, we want to continue those stories into the future. And
on our website.
Bring some more of these stories that we have here on.
The fun thing
YouTube
is
Live.
you can now go to Google and type Autark Chasing Microns and it will show up on the top.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Absolutely.
Hey, people, I don't know why people pay for SEO. I really have no idea. But you don't need to pay for SEO when you make your own shit, you know?
More gifts. We will look for more gifts. We have so much fun with that gift stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I would say to anyone that wants to watch this, if you have the luxury of plugging your laptop or computer into an HDMI and watch it on the big television in the house, it's definitely worthwhile watching it on the big television.
Yeah, definitely. Shall we do another gift?
Why not?
We need another parting gift. Birthday gift.
Uncle Rico.
There we go. Hey. There's your cost certification. This is how we're going to be actually testing the watches for our goal of 5,000 G shock resistant.
That's the bike we send to the next triathlon.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I think it's a wrap.
Yeah, that's it. It was a lot of fun. We talked far longer than we normally do. Hope everybody enjoyed it, but there's a lot of good comments. When we're in the forum, it's purely, we're talking with text here, but at least we get to verbalize and to chat with you the best we can with modern technology, and we'll have more forum posts coming up, and thanks so much.
And we will walk you through our factories and everything,
Yeah.
Factories sounds
maybe 2 weeks.
Sounds pretty over the top.
2 weeks time we do another one, I think, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, but down, nobody has seen what we have coming. Downstairs.
During that period, we are going to have a little move.
Yeah. Serious.
Okay, so
no Christmas for a rush.
Dave, you are 1 hour later. You still have some time for dinner.
Yeah, I still have time for dinner. And then I am in
It looks
Switzerland
on the
next
side
week
that
for
you
2
have
weeks.
sunshine outside. That cannot be in Glasgow.
No, that's called a false sun, which is a very bright one. It's just up here. This is Glasgow. It was dark at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it doesn't get light until 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
I've never seen.
We're allowed 1 hour of sun.
I've never seen so many tanning bed companies in one city in my life, and there it's in Glasgow.
You can see my tanning bed glowing in the background here, just waiting for me to
Put
finish.
your goggles on and hop in.
Yeah. Make myself less see-through.
Next live stream, probably
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So we I think we keep the 2 week
Yeah.
cycle.
I'll be back. Or Dave and I will be.
I'll be
we'll,
back.
We'll all be here. I'll be back. Dave and I.
We'll all be in Switzerland.
Yeah, that's right.
Good, cool.
Okay.
Then,
Thanks,
I
everybody.
wish you a nice evening, and
Thank
we
you
are
very much,
pressing the
everyone.
button here, end broadcast.